Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching Channels Television broadcasting from Lagos, celebrating 21 years of professional broadcasting. This is the news at 10. And now to some of the pictures you sent into our eyewitness portal. First is this one from Amakohia area of Owerri, the Imo State capital, showing a car struggling in an erosion. Our eyewitness reporter wants the government to look into the erosion problems of the area. And that picture is followed by this one from Sabongari area of Kano State. Our eyewitness reporter is asking the government to do something about recurrent floods there. This picture is from Uganda Crescent in Barnawa local low-cost estate in Kaduna State. Our eyewitness reporter wants the government to expedite action on it. And from Kaduna State, we move on to Onitsha-Kogi Highway, where we got this photo from. Our eyewitness reporter is asking men of the Federal Road Safety Corps to go after such traffic offenders. And finally, it's this photo from Pipeline Road at New Okwaba area of Ojokoro in Lagos State. Our eyewitness reporter is appealing to the government to repair this dilapidated bridge. We sincerely thank you for sending in those pictures, as we ask that you keep them coming. In continuation of our focus on the de-radicalization and reintegration of repentant Boko Haram members, I'm now being joined by Dr. Charles Rumour, Department of Psychology, Lagos State University Teaching Hospital. That's Luth here in Lagos. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the news at this time. You've heard about the government's plans to reintegrate repentant members of Boko Haram into society.
Yes.
Looking into the psychic of this process, how would you assess it?
Well, it could be described as the right step in the right direction, but it is a tedious task that the success rate in most cases can never be 100%. But if the effort is made genuinely to change these people in such a way that the society will accept them back, then it's going to take a gradual and systematic approach towards achieving that result.
How much of a risk are we talking about here?
Well, it is a risk actually, but the outcome, the positive aspect of it might weigh the negative aspect of it. So it is a decision wide taken.
You have interacted and have had cause to have to study this kind of situation. We've had something similar that has happened in the southern part of the country with the Niger Delta militants.
Yes.
Where the government gave them some form of succor to get them reintegrated into society. But in return, they are alleged to have carried up weapons and facing the government forces again. Is this likened to the situation that may happen in the Northeast?
Something similar. That's why I said it's going to be a gradual and systematic approach, because at any point you negate what you're supposed to do, they might take offense and come after you. So that means the effort is kind of defeated. Now, if you look at what we are dealing with now, these are people who have actually been indoctrinated. Okay, the method of conscription could be coercion or indoctrination, and they have found a succor either in their belief or the promises made to them. Okay, and a lot of them get in there to achieve this desired goal to them. So it takes a long time and a systematic approach to change that belief system that forced them into such organization. And you know, like all the terrorist groups, they use a lot of indoctrination and propaganda. And if you look at the way they are conscripted, not everybody was that had that propaganda or was preached joined them, except those one coerced. Now you can see that there is a method to being conscripted. That means you must have a soft spot. They must have touched something soft in you that you felt, well, I'm willing to die for this cause. And that is exactly why de-radicalization takes a gradual but systematic approach.
What would you advise the government to do? You've talked about a systematic approach. Yeah. What are the step-by-step approach that should be taken by the government?
Good. Now that they are camped somewhere, that is where a lot of professionals should come in. Now, we should have, like, there are 4 major steps to rehabbing these people towards integration, because rehab is different from integration, but they go pari passu, or they could come one after the other. Now we have the religious rehabilitation for these people, followed by the psychological rehabilitation, social rehabilitation, and vocational rehabilitation. Now the most important one, especially with this kind of site or group, is the religious rehabilitation. Now for us to get into that proper, there's going to be a skillful interviewing. This interview will tease out their ideologies, their intellectual ability, their inclinations and the doctrines, okay, towards identifying that aspect of faith that motivated them into joining the group. Thereafter, a systematic approach of changing that thought is instituted. And that is where we start talking about changing their mindset, and the time is going to take to achieve all this. So that's why I say it's going to be a systematic approach. And remember, it's not something you do in group, especially the interview, because each one of them have what motivated them into going into this kind of activity. So it's going to be a one-on-one interview. And that way you will tease out exactly the main issue responsible for them going into that. And by the time you start deploying techniques in psychology like cognitive behavioral therapy, it takes time. And that is approaches that aim at changing the maladaptive thought patterns, okay, that will help in bringing a more adaptive one.
Dr. Charles, I want to thank you so much indeed for talking to us, a psychologist, of course, from the Lagos University Teaching Hospital. And thanks indeed for your time and your thoughts.
Thank you.
Nigeria's former president, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, has described as mischievous the photo news story, which has gone viral in social media, of his purported return to the People's Democratic Party, the PDP. In a statement signed by his media aide, Kehinde Akinyemi, the former president calls for an investigation and sanction on anybody involved in spreading this rumor in order to serve as a deterrent to others. In his words, "Those who know me know that I have publicly announced my quitting partisan politics, and those who will believe the purported story will believe anybody who tells him that his or her mother is not a woman." The statement explains that the former president was in Abuja to attend an event at the Musa Yar'Adua Center. After the meeting commenced, some people walked up to where he was seated, and at a closer glance, he recognized them to be politicians, and they merely exchanged pleasantries. The governorship candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, Osaro Onaiwo, says that the party will provide solution to the challenges of the average persons in Edo State if voted into power during the September 10, 2016 governorship election. Mr. Onaiwo stated this while addressing supporters at a campaign rally in some major markets in Benin City, the Edo State capital.
Campaign train of All Progressives Grand Alliance APGA arrived in New Benin Market in Benin City, the Edo State capital. Their mission, just like other political parties in a contestation for Edo governorship seat, is to canvass for votes in the September 10, 2016 governorship election. Party's flag bearer, Osaro Onaiwo, has the floor to address party faithful as well as the market community. It pledges free health care for pregnant women, among other programs, if elected.
If they get from pregnancy to delivery, free or
Done with the messages, the team moves to Aduawa, a community densely populated by traders. A community leader, Samuel Agbontain, warns against dishonest campaign promises.
We don't want any deceiving. Why don't we have to? We have to speak your mind. Speak your mind. speak your minds. And when you say this is this, your right is your right, your left is your left.
At the campground, various issues bothering the community were put before the ABGA team.
We have a secondary school there, it's a community, the Adua secondary school. People can no longer go access the school. The road is so bad. We need good health facilities so that our people will not die. Our pregnant women can give birth there easily. Some of them have to travel from here to Central and Ring Road. That's what we don't want.
Like in the previous places visited, Mr. Naiwu assures the people of his capacity to solve their problems.
I will create an environment for that. Roads go there, lights go there. So that one will get to our village, one will do my business. So anybody will want come, they will see beautiful environment.
All Progressives Grant Alliance making a bold statement as a major contender in the September 10, 2016 governorship polls in Edo State.
As Edo State prepares for its governorship elections scheduled for September the 10th, 2016, the Nigerian Armed Forces says that it's ready to guarantee a peaceful atmosphere for the polls. This was the message by the Nigerian Army and other sister security agencies in Edo State as they carried out a show of force along major streets in Benin City, the state capital. The exercise is aimed at boosting the confidence of the public in the ability of the armed forces to maintain peace.
This early morning show of force along major routes in Benin City, the Edo State capital, by the Nigerian Army and sister security agencies, including the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, is to send a message of assurance of protection to the Edo State populace, especially as the 2016 governorship election in the state draws nearer. The commander, 4 Brigade Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Bembela Baji, explains why the march is significant.
There is a major event coming up in Edo State, which is the gubernatorial elections. And so, in this light, we have particularly made this day a joint exercise, for which first we have the route march, and thereafter, of course, we have the show of force. And as such, we have invited our sister services and then security agencies.
He also says the exercise is a way of sending a strong message to those who might want to make trouble during the election.
We want to use this medium to appeal to the public that they have no fear, they have nothing to fear. They are to come out en masse to go about to exercise their franchise, to vote for whichever party out of the perhaps about 19 parties that we have, and exercise their voting rights in a very conducive, free and fair environment.
This is not the first time the security agencies in Edo State are making public their readiness to provide adequate security before, during and after the upcoming governorship election in the state. But they insist at each stage that the cooperation of the people is necessary in order for them to achieve the task.
It's still ahead on the news at 10. Manufacturers deplore poor access to credit facility. Its Nexim Bank boss urges development of the manufacturing sector. Join us again.